I'm the board member of Orange County Hispanic Youth Chamber of Commerce. And so I am setting up this virtual event that basically provides college preparation for undergrad students and high school students. So high school students going to undergrad school, and then obviously undergrad students going to grad school. Mm-hmm. And so I understand that the application process is very complex. I know when I applied for grad school, I was asking millions of questions, like how many pages do I need to do for the CV or resume? What should I include in my personal statement? So basically, we're going to cover personal statement of purpose, CV or resume, and letters of recommendation. Awesome. So your name, obviously last name, title, and then what school you work at.
I'm DeSipio. I'm a professor of political science and Chicano Latino studies at the University of California, Irvine. I'm currently chair of the Department of Political Science. I have been at UCI, the University of California, Irvine, for 18 years now. Before that, at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And I received my PhD from the University of Texas at Austin.
Okay, so it is my understanding that you were part of the graduate admission committee for UCI. Not sure, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, not for UCI, for the Department of Political Science.
Political science, right?
Each department does its own. I mean, there's sort of a minimum standard for the university that is out of our control, but then each department does its own admissions.
Awesome. And so can you tell me a little bit more about the application process in particular for political science? How does it work? How many applications do you receive, and how many professors are part of the admission committee?
So the number of applications we receive each year does vary a little bit. 200 is a nice round number. Sometimes it's a little less, sometimes it's a little bit more. The applications are reviewed by a committee of 5 people, one from each of the subfields of political science, and I think many departments probably divide up the responsibilities like that. And what the committee does is it reviews each of the applications, first to see that the applicants meet that sort of minimum standard for admission, because if they don't, then there's not much we can do. And then we look for sort of demonstrations of interest in the department and interest in the study of political science that indicate that the student would probably benefit from our instruction at the graduate level. Graduate admissions is a little bit different than undergraduate admissions in that we're looking for good candidates, we're looking for very good candidates, but we also want them to be students that we can mentor. So at the undergraduate level, just the overall quality of the applicant is what gets you in. At the graduate level, it's more that there's a fit between that applicant and what the department can do. So, I could come up, if we got the best application in the world, wonderful letters of recommendation from a very prestigious undergraduate university, excellent statements, excellent grades and scores and all of that, but the person wanted to study something that we don't really teach, we wouldn't admit that person because we couldn't help. We wouldn't be a resource for that person. So graduate admissions, as I say, is a little bit different. Professional school, like law school, business school, that's more like undergraduate admissions, where just the sort of totality of the application is what's important.
So would you recommend for undergrad students to do the research of each program they want to apply? And what does that research or kind of investigation entail?
Number of things you can do. Probably the first step is asking some of your undergraduate professors where they think you might be a good fit for a graduate program, because they've worked with you, they know the kind of research you are interested in doing. They have, they know the field a little bit better than the average undergraduate probably would. The second step in research is to go to the departments that they know of, that their faculty has recommended to them, and see if their faculty doing research in areas that are of interest to them. Sometimes undergraduates will say, well, I want to stay in Southern California, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. It's lovely here. But then they say, and I want to study X. And I sort of think, well, UCLA, USC here, UCSD, The Claremont colleges, we can expand the net however we want. There just aren't programs that really do what you want to do. Maybe it's really best that you not spend the next 5 years of your life, being unhappy just because you want to stay in Southern California. So anyway, the second step is to look at specific departments, and all department websites have, the research interests of the faculty, to see that there are some connections there. And then the third step, and this is one that I would wait until after students are admitted to programs and know the funding packages they're getting and things like that, is to talk to faculty at that institution and other graduate students at that institution to see what the environment is like, to see if it's a place that encourages its students to do well, or if it's a more sort of hands-off environment that might not be the best fit. So, but you wait on that until to see where you've gotten in, where you might realistically go, because that's a harder kind of research to do.
Awesome, thank you so much. So I want to go more in specifics. So I was hoping to know what makes a strong personal statement. And specifically, what does it mean to be personal?
Well, I think that varies very much from case to case, but you want to give the committee a relatively succinct, in a page or two, sense of who you are, what it is that drives you, why you care about what you care about, what has made you interested in pursuing graduate study. Graduate school is a commitment. It's a lot of work for, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. Without a lot of immediate payoff. So you have to really be pretty committed to it. So we want to see that the applicant understands what he or she is taking on and has a commitment to seeing it through.
Awesome. So to go more in specific, what should a student include in their personal statement? I know you make it short and simple, demonstrate some type of commitment, but what would you like to see as if you were looking at a personal statement?
A story about yourself that shows how you seized the opportunity of your previous academic study, whether at the high school level or at the undergraduate level, to improve your skills and to develop your interests in the area that you're going to be doing research about. So a class that was particularly meaningful for you, or a teacher that was particularly meaningful for you, or a mentorship opportunity that opened your eyes to something that you didn't see before. And a commitment that you understand what graduate study is all about. It's not just 4 more years of undergraduate, taking 4 more years of classes. It's developing something that's independent and your own in terms of scholarship. So sometimes it's easier to say what I don't want to see.
Yes, I was just going to ask you that.
If a student says, I want to take classes with Professor X and Professor Y and Professor Z, that's great. We're happy to give classes, but I want to know what you're going to do with those classes. Why does studying with my colleagues, Professors X, Y, and Z, help you answer a question that you want to answer?
Definitely. And I think for me personally, I was having a hard time with my introduction. What catches the reader from the very beginning? What kind of tips can you provide?
Well, as I say, if you start with a story, the first paragraph being, I was in this situation. I was mentoring, high school students who were, very interested in this, but felt a barrier, and I helped them overcome that barrier. Or I had the opportunity to do an honors thesis in which I set out to answer this, but I really found that the key question was not quite that, and here's where I went with that. I studied in Washington or Sacramento or Barcelona or Mexico City or something, and this exposed me to a different world. I'm a bad example with the international places, but a different sort of way of approaching the same problem. So show some a story that shows some personal growth.
Awesome. Thank you.
I don't want to hear about your Boy Scout experiences. There are a lot of essays we get or personal statements we get about that, and they've rarely worked for me. And it's no judgment here of the Boy Scouts. It's just I don't think it leads you very far.
What about for undergrad? Maybe that could be a good experience, but not for graduate students, right?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, because I've never been on an undergraduate admissions committee, so I should say that up front, but I would have to imagine that they get a lot of sort of not terribly interesting stories retold in very different ways. So, if you could find something unique, a travel experience or a family member abroad who had, unique challenges that you were able to help or something like that at the undergraduate level, I think that would go a lot farther. Actually doing something rather than observing something.
Awesome. And then